Welcome to our knitting space. If you are a returning listener, then thanks for coming back. Grab your cup of whatever it is you feel like drinking and join in on the conversation. If you're new, welcome, come on in, and hopefully you like what you hear. This week we're hoping to actually get some help from everybody who listens or everybody who's heard of us before. So we're going to cover what's in our cup, or what's in the cup, the PhD works, which we're actually looking to change the title on. So if you guys have any thoughts or suggestions, we're going to open a thread in the Ravelry group, and please help us with the wordage, for sometimes putting together a nifty set of words requires inspiration, and heaven knows I haven't had nearly enough coffee in the last 6 months to be quite that inspiring. We're also going to do Yarn on the Go, Fiber Flubs, which is our new section for when stuff goes wrong, events, and a book review this week. So, Diana, as we have survived yet another week in what is not nearly as puddle lake-infested Manitoba as we normally have in the spring, the level of lakes that spring up on sidewalks has been relatively low this year.
It has.
What's in your cup today?
Today I am drinking some of your coffee.
My coffee!
That you have very graciously given me.
It's coffee. I can go buy more.
I am drinking Ethical Bean Lush Blend coffee, which is a medium dark roast.
Nice.
And I'm drinking it completely black because it's delicious.
It is one of my favorite teas. Totally worth it. And you can find it at Safeways and Sobeys and Walmarts and stuff. So it's a pretty easy brand name to find. Which, explains why it's one of my favorite. I'm having the vanilla chai decaf tea from Stash, mostly because I have to start my morning off a little slower than most still. I'm going to do a 1-minute health update, so I'm enjoying some vanilla chai before I go and drink coffee, because liquid is good. Liquid's your friend.
Liquids are important. It's kind of a lame statement.
Well, you made it, not me, so I'm not going to help you on that one. We'll do a quick 1-minute health update. I'm healing. I'm recovering. It's good. I tried to sweep my floors the other day. That was a mistake. Apparently, side-to-side motions when you have a very large cut in your abdominal walls, not so hot. So, okay, learned that lesson. And as my mom pointed out, I am trying to think I am farther along in my healing than I am. Just past 3 weeks. So even though my brain thinks I'm into 4 weeks of healing, I am not.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm allowed to get antsy and want to push it at this point because I feel better. So it's good. And we're healing. I'm happy with where the healing is finally. I wasn't super happy the first little bit, but now I'm a lot better. So I'm a lot happier, a lot healthier, and I've actually left the house. I went and did things.
I got so many Snapchats that day. I left the house!
It's such a big deal. Okay. Let's do the PhD works. As I mentioned at the top, we're looking to change the name of it because while it's good, it's a nice name, it doesn't quite fit the stuff that we have on our needles, the stuff that we're sort of our works and projects, as the case may be. So we want to get something that works better for it. And we've been trying to brainstorm, and I've come to the great conclusion that Mr. B is a lot better at it than I am, and I suspect all of my listeners will be better at it than I am. So I'm going to go, hey, help, please. Help would be great.
We need people that can pun better than us.
Oh, so many people have such great talents and skills, and my skills and talents are not in the punning department. That is all Mr. B. He is fabulous at it. I'm not so good. I'm the straight man. That's what I am. I am the straight man to his punning, is what it is. And I'm really good at my job, and I'm really good at staring at him with a blank dead face while he does something while everybody else thinks and cracks up and going, seriously, you just did that? We're really good. We got our comedy routine down. The only problem is I'm on the wrong side of the comedy routine for naming stuff, so, okay.
Did you get his whisk story from work?
Yeah.
The whisk management and...
Yeah.
Higher the whisk, the higher the reward, and...
Yep.
Yeah.
To tell you the story about him and the ice cream machine?
I don't think I heard this one.
I will tell you after the podcast.
Oh dear.
It's right up there.
Sounds like the name of a children's book, Mr. B and the Ice Cream Machine.
Oh my god, that totally is a children's book.
We should write that.
Because what I need is yet more projects on my plate. Let's add more stuff.
Yeah, we can write children's books about knitting and nerd
knitting
stuff.
and ice cream machines.
Yeah.
'Cause we're experts on both.
Yeah, I worked at an ice cream shop for a summer. I know how they work.
Sure, that's more knowledge than I got. So, for the moment, it's going to remain PhD Works. And Diana, what have you been working on? Because I knew you were all excited to show me things. I have, as usual, like a million things on the go because I'm stuck and I'm bored.
I have some arguably kind of finished objects.
Arguably finished objects? How can one have an arguably finished object?
Well, in that for the book that we chose to review this week, I tried some of the stuff in it. So I have some samples that I finished. Well,
nice.
one and a half samples.
That counts.
So maybe I will talk about that first.
I'll just mention them and we can do them in the book review. We can go in more depth if you wanted to. Or you can talk about them now. Your choice.
It is a finger weaving technique, which I will talk more about later. But I have a thing that was supposed to be a bracelet. It is a little bit too long, so it became a headband for one of the stuffed animals out at the lake this weekend. A lot of kung fu was done by various creatures.
Excellent.
And then I also started making a headband that I think is going to be too short to be a headband. So it'll be a something.
More stuff for stuffed animals?
Maybe, I don't know, it's kind of big for a stuffed animal.
It can be a sample of your weaving technique.
It'll be a sample. It'll go somewhere.
We will find a use for it.
Anyway, I super like it, and I want to make more stuff. I want a loom now.
You want a loom now?
I want some kind of makeshift loom so I can make some more of the stuff in the book, because I actually really like the technique.
I'm looking forward to trying some of the stuff from the book, so never fear, it is going to remain a knitting podcast, but I think every once in a while we'll throw in books from different fiber crafts. It is my want to read and learn all the time. I can't seem to stop myself. I have been working on a bazillion things as usual. My coffee shop shawl by Alexandra Tavel continues on. I have reached the point now where it is massive.
That is rather large, yes.
And I am at a row 120 out of 160, so I am definitely progressing towards completion.
It looks really good.
It is. It's coming along quite nicely. I'm quite happy with the progress. And knock on wood, it hasn't tried to bite me yet, so we've got that. I also really super enjoy the needles I have it on. They're Knitter's Pride needles in the aluminum, so I'm thinking I have to go buy some more of those.
Yeah, I'm really liking those. I might have to also get some of those.
Oh, well, we are traveling tomorrow for the events section, and we will be at the store where these are sold.
Oh, but what sizes do I get?
All of them. I'm the wrong person to ask. We know this. I am a professional enabler.
2 sets of circular needles. I don't need that many.
Sure, you keep telling yourself that.
Except that I totally do.
The shawl's being done in the Bernay Premium yarn. It's in a brown tweed, mostly again because of a lot of the people that I know that are around me have allergies to different types of wools. So for a lot of my big basic or first time I do a pattern, I try to do it in acrylic wool. So if they like it, it's something I can have around them or near them. If it's something that I know is strictly for me and it is wool, I will warn them when I'm wearing it because I'm not allergic to any type of wool, toothsome and or otherwise. I have never had my skin go, nope, that's itchy. So I'm going to make an assortment, and I find acrylic lighter in the summer. I don't find it as warm as the wool, so I suspect a lot of my heavier winter ones or my full-length ones for fall will be made out of the natural fibers and done with something that'll keep me warm. And then I'll just warn people not to touch me if they're allergic to wool.
I'm super excited for you to finish that giant thing so I can put it on my head again like the last thing.
I continued progress with my Boneyard Shawl as well by Stephen West. It's not growing as rapidly. It's a much tighter weave, so it is a much smaller growth pattern, but I have finished almost another section of 12 again. So I've almost added another 12 rows onto it. So it continues to progress quite nicely as well, too. I'm finding it's my TV knitting. I'm now sitting on the couch, not always strictly restricted to bed, so when I'm out on the couch, I will do that knitting and work on it as I'm watching Deep Space Nine or Voyager or whatever else my mom decides to put on the TV. I think we watched all of the Murdoch Mysteries.
Oh, wow.
We just kind of had that playing. I'm slowed down a bit. I picked up a work project. I write book blog reviews. I wasn't supposed to be working this month, but I got an email and went, sure, last minute, let's do a book review. So it goes live today, so I'm not going to be doing much knitting today because I got to do the last bit of my editing and get it all posted everywhere. So I finished the book last night at 1 a.m.
It's a good time to finish a book.
In my mind, it's a perfect time because then you just kind of roll over and go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Sounds good to me.
What else have you been working on?
My other sort of arguably finished object, I worked on my wedding shawl.
Ooh.
And I finished the swatch.
Hey, that's a big deal.
I finished the swatch and I didn't screw it up, and I think it's even the right size. I still have to wash and block it to make sure, but I think it's even the right size. So
Did you bring the swatch? Do I get to look at all the pretty
Yes.
lacing?
I didn't unpack my knitting from the weekend at the lake, which was really convenient because it means I could just grab it all and bring it. It's in this bag.
I need to get you some project bags, my dear.
Well, they kind of project bags. That's this little wrinkled thing here.
Well, it's lace. It hasn't been washed or blocked.
I think
Oh.
that's upside down. Yes, because it's supposed to. The idea.
I'm going to look at it from all the angles.
Okay.
Because that's how I do things.
The idea is it's supposed to look like that. The Arwen necklace, the Even Star necklace.
Well, hence it's the Even Star shawl.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what that lace pattern's supposed to look like. I think it's pretty close.
I think it's wonderful. I think that looks beautiful.
So I'm pretty freaking excited about that.
I'm even looking at it from the back because that's who I am and what I do. I can't even imagine knitting in a yarn this thin. I'm going to have to because there's way too many pretty lace shawls that I want to create, so.
Yeah, so this will be my first lace weight project.
Oh, that looks so good. I still don't, doubt you're going to go crazy with all the beads you're going to do, but that looks amazing.
Well, fortunately, by the time I get to the beads, the rows are only like 20 stitches long.
Oh, that'll help.
I'm worried about when I get to the roundy, more outside rows where there's like 300 and 400 stitches on the needles.
The coffee shop shawl is over 250 stitches at this point.
200 or 400 teeny tiny little stitches.
No, because you're crazy.
I know.
Mine are nice, chunky worsted weight stuff.
But I'm so excited
What was it?
about that.
Red had her Christmas tree skirt that she's knitting started at like 500 plus stitches, didn't it?
Oh yeah, something
That was
crazy.
That was a big thing. I saw it the other week. She was over and visiting because I'm obviously not going anywhere. So the Knit Club girls, when they've got a chance and they're free, they come over and keep me company, which is so nice. I think I'm driving my mother crazy. So we were over and we went for a walk and we did some knitting and chatting and stuff. So it was really good.
I think this is actually the right size. I'm so excited.
I can't believe you held on to that information until we started podcasting. You looked like you were ready to explode.
I'm so excited. I'm so proud of this stupid little 4x6 swatch.
I think
You
it's
don't even
awesome.
know. Do you
It's
know
good.
how hard it is to do the knit 3 together while knitting front back 7?
No.
It's really hard, especially when there's small children screaming in your ear.
Well, might I recommend when you're working on the shawl that even if you brought it to Knit Club, because we could just talk around you and not at you while you were doing the really complicated part, for your ease of mind purposes, that we might be less loud and screamy than a 5-year-old or almost 5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old?
Just over 2.
Just over 2?
Just over 2.
Oh, yeah.
A moody just over 2.
Well, 2 is a stage.
Yeah, I know.
2 is a stage.
Well, actually, most of this lace pattern isn't that bad. It's just that one particular stitch that shows up periodically. I had to do it all of 3 times in this entire swatch. But it's hard.
It'll get easier as you do it, like everything else.
Yeah.
After a while, you'll be like, yeah, whatever. Here we go. This is how it works, because you've done it so many times. It's like when you first start knitting, you think knitting and purling is the hardest thing on the planet. Now you're like, oh, knit this many rows? Done.
Mm-hmm. Now it's like, what? Conversation? Not looking.
Not looking. We're good.
But yeah, so excited. So I'll get that washed and blocked and officially measured this week.
That would be awesome. I started...
Sorry, I will
It's
contain
okay.
myself now.
I'm not sure that's even possible, because that is for your wedding. You're allowed to get excited about these things.
I'm, if I may, waiting another moment.
Absolutely.
I'm officially booking the space on Friday.
Woohoo!
I just have to write the check and sign the papers, and then my mum's coming into the city, and she's gonna take me down there so I can officially hand them all the paperwork and be like, yeah, this is mine now.
Yes. Good. That's awesome.
I'm
This is
so
a beautiful space. I'm very excited as well. I probably should find some lace weight yarn and make a shawl for your wedding. Because if there's any place where you and I could showcase our knits, it would be your wedding.
Oh, yes.
I gotta talk to the group, see if the group would like to. We're all sort of for crocheting or knitting, and make one, so that way we can be very clearly the knitting group, because we'll all be wearing knitted stuff.
Oh, I will be very disappointed if if there's not at least one picture of you all with your knitting out at the table.
Oh, that can happen. That can totally happen.
I don't care if you actually knit,
It's
just
just
everybody
everybody
has
has
to
to be-
look like they're knitting for the
at
picture.
table. Yep, okay, we can do that. This is totally feasible. I started the Distinction Shawl by Catlin French again. I had a wonderful time with it. I'm actually doing it in a navy blue black worsted weight yarn instead of the black tweed Bernay yarn. So this one is a deluxe worsted 100% wool from Universal Yarns. I'm going to alternate the dark color with a light blue in the same brand. So sort of like a lighter than a cobalt blue. So you can actually, yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
That's a nice blue.
Because, people can see what you're pointing at. So I've got those two together. So I've started it again. I have to, and it's going to be slow progress on this one because I have to do it underneath the light on the corner of the couch because I need the extra light or I can't see what I'm doing. And even then, I'm guessing half the time for the make one stitch. So this is going to be a very, very slow project because I'll pull up a thread and go, nope, that's not the right one, and put it back and try to go for another one. Might have to set it up on the table underneath the magnifying glass with the light to see the stitches on the make one rows, which is totally fine. I'm looking forward to doing it, and I finally found the yarn the shawl wanted to be made out of, so it feels right. So that's good. Believe it or not, there are still more projects. I have 4 more to go.
I have 2 more.
Okay, well I will do another one then.
Go for it.
I am also working on a grandmother's favorite dishcloth, because dishcloths. It's not fancy. It's a Ravelry pattern, but I'm about halfway down another one.
That looks really nice.
So it's just a straight dishcloth pattern, but I need more dishcloth, so I am making some. You hear me?
Super good in that yarn.
I know, it's just a simple variegated cotton yarn. There's nothing fancy. I can't even tell you what the yarn is because I bought it on sale in the end bags at Michael's. So I'm not entirely positive what yarn it is because it was $7 for a big bag of cotton variegated yarn. And I went, dishcloths, done.
Yeah. Well,
So-
those are some good looking dishcloths.
So I'm really happy with that. So I'm doing that. What other projects are you working on?
I also at the lake worked on my Belle Rose shawl. That is from the Strickme 2017 club, with the shawl pattern being designed by Martina Bain, and the yarn was, I want to say the Villon Rose, but that's not right. This was sheep Cessoir, something French sounding about sheep.
It's Country Rose.
It is a fingering weight, single ply, merino silk blend.
It's beautiful and it's pink.
It is slightly tonal and very shiny and very, very nice to knit with. I really enjoy knitting with the very soft yarn on my nice rosewood needles. It's very, very peaceful.
Oh, very fancy sounding. Whew.
It does make it sound really fancy.
This is really fancy.
So that was nice to work on out at the lake, sitting outside.
Sitting outside, enjoying your knitting.
I spent all of Saturday afternoon sitting outside. I found a good tree to anchor my weaving to. And then all the woodland creatures started coming out. So we had some peanuts. So I just had like some peanuts around me, and all the woodland creatures are coming around me as I'm like weaving. Like,
could you feel more inspired?
I was feeling very,
Woodsy?
Disney princess. I don't know. I probably could have put a peanut on my head and had a Grey Jay on my head.
Wow, they were everywhere.
He was pretty friendly.
My goodness.
The squirrel wasn't too sure.
The squirrel was a little more,
The squirrel would come near me, but he wouldn't, like, eat a peanut from, like, off my shoe or anything.
That's not too bad, though. That means that squirrel is a survivor.
Yeah.
Which is, the
He's
way
pretty
squirrels
cute,
should be. Squirrels are really cute, but I don't think I want to get close to them. You may have noticed I'm not a massive nature person. Oh my goodness, okay, I'm almost done with the projects I started. I started the Rainier Shaw, and it is by Nora Lavola? Ooh, I definitely mispronounced that last name. I'm doing it in the Bernay yarn that I was going to be using for the Distinction shawl that just wasn't working quite right for me. So I moved it to a different shawl, and it seems a lot happier this way. So I recently just put a lifeline in, and I will describe why I had to put a lifeline in the fiber flub section, and then we will know why Jocelyn put a lifeline in.
Oh dear.
Because that had to happen. But I finally transferred it off the straight needles, because I start my shawls on straight needles, and then I transfer them to circulars once they get to about 28 or 30 rows.
I'm excited to see how that shawl turns out, because that one's also in my queue.
Yes, I know it is. We have a lot of shared queue items. It's a thing. I finally decided I had to take the plunge and stop talking about making fingerless gloves and make fingerless gloves. So I started the Happy Hands Fingerless Mitts by Jennifer V. She's it's called Craft Patch. It's a online blog, which I like reading and enjoying. So I have literally just cast it on because I did it the other day while I was thinking about the review that I was going to be writing. So I have, and it's a very simple pattern. So I
enjoy the Ziploc sandwich bag project bag.
That is how it works for me right now because I don't have any small project bags at the moment. So
clear project bags are underrated.
I like it when it's a small project so I can see what's going on. Once it gets bigger, I prefer having something that's not quite so transparent. Or if it's something that I remember what it is, or it's got a specific bag, that's fine. But for little things, socks, that sort of stuff, I like to have just the clear plastic bags. And heavens knows when you date a gamer and you are a gamer, you have sandwich bags.
Oh, yes.
All over the place. Because you have to have sandwich bags all over the place. You need them for all sorts of sorting requirements.
Sandwich bags are second in importance only to dice.
Pretty much, yeah. Which is a strange thing to say, but terribly true. Did you have anything else you were working on?
I also worked on the sock for my dad. The second of the pair. I finished the heel and I'm a good way up the leg now.
Nice.
There was lots of knitting time to be had at the lake.
Apparently it was a knitting extravaganza. I only have one other thing I've been working on. The 365-day project of granny squares.
Oh my gosh, I was working on that too and I forgot to write it down. I actually did a square this week.
You did a square this week?
I did a square.
7 squares this week.
I know. But I did a square and it came out so nice and I was so proud of it.
Good. You're going to be forever catching up.
I know.
We're over 100 squares now.
I know. I have a tab open on my browser telling me what day of the year it is. It's like day 110.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah. I'm on square 56, 57.
Oh, dear, my love, you need to catch up.
Yeah, I need to start doing 2 squares a day for the next while.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, no,
Yep.
I agree. However, we finally reached the end of the stuff I'm currently working on. It doesn't count the 3 projects I will probably end on casting on this week. Because I'm crazy. Hey, I have the yarn. Finally, PayPal gave me the Winter Honey pattern, which, by the way, the email showed up saying that it had processed and gone through
Oh,
the day
finally.
after you were over.
Oh my goodness, that's taking its sweet time.
I'm like, seriously? Okay, you guys suck. And then I have the sock videos that I'm going to watch. I'm going to start the socks as well, too. So, lots of things. And whatever else catches my attention, and I end up starting this week. Because I can't seem to stop myself. It's fine. I'm making progress on things, so it's not like I don't stop working on everything else.
No, I know. You work on all the stuff. All the stuff is bigger every time I come over.
I don't do much else but read and work. I'm hoping maybe to get the coffee shawl shop done this week. It's only got 30 rows or something left, so there'll only be like 300 and some odd stitches, or nearly 400 stitches to bind off. That's fine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going completely crazy.
Nah.
So, yarn on the go. We both went out of the houses and did stuff. Our yarn has traveled.
Traveling yarn.
I mean, mine went to the local Walmart with my mom and my sister attached to the St. Vital Mall, because it is my mom's favorite mall. Saturday morning, the little one goes to tutoring. So while she's at tutoring, we were at the mall because we were about 2 hours or so, and I had to do some mall walking because we had to get me out, get my legs moving and stuff for various health reasons. And my sister and my mom both enjoy shopping, so we were off to do mall walky things. I got a coffee from Second Cup and a vanilla scone. God, the scones are amazing. The vanilla scones are my favorite. They do pumpkin scones, they do mighty fine scones, but the vanilla are my favorite. And I got my usual half coffee, half hot chocolate mix, which seems really weird, but it's quite tasty. So, because then you get coffee and hot chocolate. You don't have to give one up to have the other. You have both. So I got that into the small batch 49 in the medium blend. And the vanilla bean hot chocolate, obviously, because you're having a vanilla scone. This only makes sense in my mind.
Clearly.
And then we walked to Walmart and we did some stuff around Walmart and we were looking at things. I do have to sit quite often. So I took my knitting with me, put it in a project bag and everything. The coffee shop shawl went with me to the mall. So when I had to sit down, my sister and my mom can continue to do things and just sort of leave me in whatever corner I decided that was it. We were going to sit down. So I sat down in the stretch of the mall. If you've ever been to St. Vital Mall, you know there's a stretch where Walmart connects to the rest of the mall. And I was sitting on one of the benches there, happily knitting away. I got, I think, like 3 or 4 rows done while my mom and my sister finished their stuff. Then we picked up the kid, went for lunch, went to the bookstore. I sat down and did some more knitting. Because bookstores in my family were all voracious readers. All of us are voracious readers.
Oh my.
It is. I don't have a cheap hobby, as far as I can tell. And I was super excited. I didn't take any pictures, but because of the weight restriction, I did get to use my Stash to Go app while I was out. So I had my row counter and my pattern, and I could have uploaded photos if I wanted to, and I could check everything right there. So I was just like, yes, one more reason why that Stash to Go app is so handy, because I don't misplace my phone. My phone is my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, every time I'm opening it up and I'm using that app, I'm really excited by it. So I'm still super happy with my purchase and use it all the time. All the time. I've got a 10-pound weight restriction. That does not take a lot for a woman to have a 10-pound purse.
Oh, that's true.
As I am a fan of carrying everything in the kitchen sink with me when I go places. So limiting myself has been very difficult. My brain's like, but you need to carry everything. Nope, I'm not allowed to carry everything right now, so that was my yarn to go. I got out, I got to use my Stash to Go app, I got to take my knitting out and talk to people in public about my knitting, and it was wonderful.
Didn't have anybody question if you were making things for small humans?
No, the shawl is very clearly at the size now where it is very, very much an adult thing. It is not a wee person item anymore unless I was wrapping the child 4 times in it, because it is quite significant at the size.
Good.
Where did your yarn go this week?
My yarn came with me to the lake this weekend, as I kind of mentioned, and I sat outside and worked on some stuff.
Because you're lake people.
Yes.
Interesting phenomenon that happens in the summer. You have lake people and non-lake people. There's nothing wrong with being one way or the other. It makes life interesting for scheduling stuff, because non-lake people, and I am a non-lake person, forget that long weekends mean you go to the lake or the cabin or you're out of town. So I like to just make plans during the long weekend because I've got more time off, forgetting that almost everybody I know
Probably about half of the families in the local area have
cabins.
a cabin on a lake somewhere. Within a 2-hour drive.
Yeah, it's a lot of people go out to their cabins and their lakes, or they go to the beach for the day, and I don't drive anymore because of the vision loss, and I don't get out of the city, so it doesn't occur to me that these things happen anymore.
Well, we'll sort out a weekend
Oops.
this summer where you can come out to the lake and see all the naturey things.
I have never actually been to the cabin with or without the family. I'm not against going with the family. I think it'd just be wise if we took me out first before the little ones join us, so I have a chance to map it out before we have the shifting of small children and toys around. So.
Yes, definitely.
I finished my tea and started some coffee.
I have some sort of other going things.
Oh, you have other going things.
Well, my wheel is still not going. It's still nebulously in Canada.
I'm sorry. Somewhere in this not insignificantly sized country.
That's all it says. In Canada. April 9th. Processed through facility.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Yeah, it's in a truck somewhere on the side of the street in Ontario.
I don't know. The other thing that I have kind of going is I am very, very seriously considering some pretty blue stitch markers on Etsy so that I can use them on my wedding shawl because, you know, something blue, right? And that's a good excuse to buy expensive, really pretty stitch markers, right?
You're talking to the wrong woman. I don't justify my expenditures anymore. I just go, nope, I want that. So it's coming home.
They're like $25 for 6 stitch markers plus shipping. Which we've already established in previous episodes.
This is not cheap in this country.
Stupid expensive in this country.
Still think it's worth it. Because you're going to enjoy them.
So, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see if I actually purchase those.
Which is totally fair. That is it for Yarn on the Go for us today. Oh my god, if I finish this shawl, I will have something in cool threads. My mom volunteered me to make a cowl for my Aunt Jerry. My Aunt Jerry is actually she's my great Aunt Jerry. She is my grandmother's sister. She's in her 70s and is smaller than my 10-year-old niece.
Oh my goodness.
My niece just passed her in height range. So my Aunt Jerry wears children's-sized shoes. This is how tiny my Aunt Jerry is.
Oh my goodness.
So I actually am going to have to use my niece as a model to make this cowl for my great aunt because I'm not going to be able to do it in a size ratio I will understand, given how large I am compared to my aunt. My Aunt Jerry's head fits under my shoulder. Like, she's a very tiny little lady.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was just like, my mom just said I had to go buy more yarn. And here she's telling me I have enough. Apparently not.
Clearly not.
I think she realized what she said after she said it and just sighed. I'm like, oh, remind me to show you all the yarn I've had her buy me since she got home.
I'm sure she's thrilled.
Not the word I'm going to use, but yeah, we'll go with that. We have some events.
We have many events according to my page.
According to our plan, we are going to be so busy we are not going to know what to do with ourselves. We decided randomly this morning because we saw on I saw on Facebook an event one of the 2 local yarn stores is having, and they're holding a yarn tasting trunk show tomorrow. So we called down literally before we started recording and put our names on the list. So tomorrow we are going to go to a yarn tasting and
yarn tasting
trunk show. It's reasonably priced. Tickets are going to be $15 for us, and we get $5 off a purchase, which gives me the excuse to buy more needles. And I'll lie to everybody here on the podcast and say I'm not going to be buying yarn as well. Everybody may feel free to start laughing at me now. I'm going to live in this delusional state till tomorrow when I get there and go, nope, that didn't work. Diana's already smirking at me.
No, I'm smirking because I still really love that distinction shawl pattern, and I might need to buy some yarn.
Well, for sure I'm going to get
some. I don't have anything in that size. I actually don't have anything in that size.
I have yarn. I don't have, see, and I just view it as a reason to add to my stash before stash dash. Then that way, I have stash to pull from for the dash.
Exactly.
This is my justification in my mind. I am sure that's not how that actually works, but so long as my yarn expenditures are less than Mr. B's magic board gaming or his passionate love affair with Kickstarter expenditures, I feel like I'm standing on very solid ground.
Yeah, I think you're all right.
I think I'm all right. So, and as long as it takes up less space than the gamer horn, I feel like it's not out of control. My stash actually lives with my clothes in my walk-in closet. And I worked in the fashion industry and retail for over a decade. So, oh my, do I own clothes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I am a walk-in closet on my own. And my walk-in closet shares my makeup and my yarn. Neither one of those are small collections. So I'm feeling comfortable with this. The yarn gets bigger than the book collection. Then we need to talk to me, because then I have a problem. But until then, we're fine, and I'm counting fiber differently.
Is now a bad time to point out that you can get those vacuum packing machines to make your yarn smaller?
That's probably going to be a thing I do, so that I can keep it below the book things. because we've got a book fair coming up shortly, and we're
Oh,
so going.
no.
Because, hey, of all those books I bought, completely random, I bought a whole bunch of books at $3 and $1, and I bought about $100 worth of books. I have 4 left I have not read.
Wow.
I read and review for a living. It's what I do. I love reading. I love exploring new worlds, and I love learning. So I have the nonfiction books left because I've discovered if I leave those to last, I can take the longest with them and make notes and look things up and stuff because it's a learning process for me for those. So I'm really looking forward to going to the book fair again this year. All
Okay,
right.
what other events are we doing?
Oh, now that we've talked about books,
Uh-huh.
I like books. We're going to do the Red Heart Knit Along by Marley Bird. I'm so excited. I bought my yarn.
Still need to buy my yarn.
I'm always game for a trip to Michael's, so don't get me wrong, I'll go back. I decided, and it sounds like a really boring color choice, but I'm doing the white Soft Essentials yarn.
Nothing wrong with white. It matches with lots of stuff.
Not only so much that, but I have a white winter coat, I have a purple winter coat, I have a beautiful cobalt blue spring fall coat. I have quite colorful, vibrant coats and clothing and stuff, and Diana can tell you I love me my color. I have no problems with colors and patterns, but I don't actually own a white shawl. To my sister pointed out, I don't need a gray shawl, I don't need a blue shawl, but I don't have a white shawl. So I either had to go with the variegated yarn or go white. So we decided to go white, because I think a big white fluffy shawl. And because I'm doing it again, we're doing in the Red Heart yarn, which is acrylic. I love Red Heart yarn. I'm using the Red Heart soft yarn for the 365-day challenge. I used the Red Heart Super Saver yarn as part of my mom's crochet blanket because it just washes and wears really well. So, super no problem. So I'm kind of excited because I can wash acrylic quite hardcore and it won't felt.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'll be able to keep it white. And then I accidentally bought 4 balls of sugar spun yarn that I have no project for.
Accidentally.
I just magically happened. They went in my basket. My sister's basket, and then my sister bought a whole bunch of frames for canvases for her artwork. So, oops.
Mm-hmm.
Michael's is so dangerous for me. You've been in Michael's with me. You know how bad it can get.
Yeah.
That's why people are like, why don't you tell other people no? I can't tell myself no. Never mind other people. Are you crazy? But I have the yarn picked out, so I'm super excited. That starts on the 1st of May. The first video goes live. You can pre-read the pattern. It is an easy beginner pattern, which is wonderful. It makes it really approachable for a lot of people. And there's nothing wrong with a good pattern. It doesn't matter if it's easy, intermediate, or hard. If it's a pretty pattern, it's a pretty pattern.
Yep.
And given that I'm going to do some hardcore cabling, and I'm going to do some lace work, and I'm going to do a lot of other things that require a lot of thinking, in non-thinking, I'm kind of, I'm okay with some non-thinking, I think. Yeah, that's a lot of think in a statement. Woo-hoo!
I think I'm okay with some non-thinking, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that made sense in my brain. I'm not sure how that came out verbally. But we'll get you some yarn because it will not be long before we're in May. And then I will be poking you constantly to keep you up so we can get some speed worked up on here. Nice simple project, worsted weight yarn. We can do this. We've got a month. Totally doable. People can't see me gesturing with my arms dramatically. Yeah. I may have started drinking coffee because I'm done my tea.
I can tell.
Oh, caffeine's kicking in. We need to feed the Jocelyn after this.
I think we might need to feed the Diana.
We can totally feed the Diana after we've recorded. I think that's totally alright.
Okay, what else is going on?
We're going to participate in Stash Dash this year. If you want to describe Stash Dash for everybody, just in case they don't know.
Stash Dash is a production run by the Knit Girls podcast. Videocast. The idea being that you finish a bunch of things that you've had on the needles for a while. And so when you finish the knitting on something, you get to count all of the yarn in the entire project. So that giant blanket that you have like 10 rows left on, knit those 10 rows and the whole blanket counts. But you don't have to weave in the ends or put on zippers on sweaters or whatever. That doesn't count. To that end, there are a number of finish lines you can do. the 3K, 5K, 7K, and 10K and 15K for the overachievers out there.
One day, that'll be me.
I'm going for a nice, modest 3K, I think.
Yes, you decided a 3K last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm crazy. I'm going to start out of the gate with a 5K, noting that it won't actually take me that long to get to 5K. Shawls start, and again, 5K is going to be like 5,500 meters, just under 5,000, or 5,500 yards for 5,000 meters, which is fine. That's nothing. A shawl for me is anywhere from 800 to 900 yards because of my height and my wingspan to fit me properly. So I'm already, what, 2 shawls? 3 shawls? In worsted weight yarn, and I'm already over halfway there. And I want to do myself a cardigan this summer. I have the yarn for it. I just need to find a pattern that works for it and cast it on. That's going to be nearly 2,000 yards. The winter honey shawl is going to be over 1,000 yards.
All right.
Yeah, so it's not going to take me long. If I was of a less statuesque height, being decidedly Amazonian in my height posturing, it would be a little bit easier because the projects wouldn't be quite so big for me. But I'm admittedly starting out with more just to cover arm lengths and just to cover my wingspan and to cover my torso and that, just because of my height ratio. So I don't mind. I don't, like, if I was 5'1" to like 5'5" or 5'7", I'd be like 3K, perfectly good, because then that would fit the amount of yardage I'd be using per clothes. But I have more yardage per clothes to start with.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Nope, that makes sense.
And I got some Christmas presents I'll be working on over the summer that I've already bought the yarn for, so those will also count. A little bit less because my mom and my sister are blessedly normal-sized people. It's just me who's huge. It's fine. I'm coming to terms with my height. Slowly but surely.
Slowly, in your 30s, you're finally coming to terms with your height?
In my mid-30s, I'm finally coming to the determination that I am not going to shrink magically. No longer have miles and miles of leg. I think is my best example for it. I will buy those short summer dresses and wear them as tunics. Because tunics are t-shirts and t-shirts are too short. So I am not worried about my 5K goal at all, to bring it back to knitting. I'm not.
Life is hard, in short.
That is how it works for me, and it doesn't frighten me at all. So I think I can do 5K. I don't think it'll be that big of a problem. If anything, if I don't make it, that's fine. The only person I'm competing against is myself, and I'm not an overly competitive person by nature, so I'm not going to feel bad if I don't get it. But that's my goal, and that's what I want to try to reach, and that's what I'm going to work towards.
Should we do a thing where if we meet our goals or exceed them, we can buy ourselves presents or something?
Sure. What kind of presents do we put on the line? That Miss Babs order we keep talking about doing and we never do?
Ooh, yeah, we could do that.
That could get dangerous.
Ooh.
I think that is a perfectly acceptable goal. If we want to just buy Miss Babs yarn for no particular reason other than the fact it's amazing. And I need to own it.
Dragonfly fibers and hedgehog fibers.
We would have a choice. I agree. I think this is perfectly legit. We should talk to the girls at Knit Club and see if they would like to join us and do a stash dash as well.
Oh, we should.
Ooh, that is...
Knit Club-wide stash dash.
I think that would be quite fun. I could be completely wrong about this, and they might look at me like I'm crazy. But that's okay, too. Happens to me all the time. Alright, what other events are we doing this year? We're doing everything. Everything.
We've got, chronologically, Knit in Public Day.
Woohoo!
Knit in Public Day is on June 10th.
It is. I'm actually going to take a talk around to some of the artisanal donut shops in the city and see if one of them might be interested in having us come in and do a Knit in Public Day and record it in the shop. So
that'd be fun.
That is something I think we might want to take a look at maybe possibly doing. I spent my childhood in the Northwest Territories. I actually spent my childhood in the capital city of Nunavut, in Iqaluit.
Is that how you actually say it?
It's about as close as I can recall. I haven't
Wow.
lived there in over 20 years. But I never really acclimated to southern weather. Now, remember I live in Manitoba. I think plus 20 is too hot, and we get to plus 30 and into the 40s sometimes, and you can't convince me to leave the house, because I get heat stroke every summer like clockwork. I can't stay cool. In the wintertime, it works well for me because I'm warm and I'm quite comfortable walking around at minus 30, and I don't think it's that cold. I think it's cold, but I don't think it's that cold. So I'm a super fan of the idea of knitting in public inside a building somewhere where there's air conditioning if it's really hot. So I will have ready access to foodstuffs, coffee, and air conditioning. It's going to be my vote. It's going to be my biased vote. I am not even going to kid about it. We can go out in public. We did last year, me and Red. We went out. Red is a natural ginger and burns wonderfully easily, so we are always constantly looking for shade and cool spots because I overheat and she can't see the sun and it's a hot mess. So we can go knit in public, but if we're going to make it a day-long event, I think we might want to do a little bit of time inside where I'm cool enough I'll eat. Otherwise, I'll go a whole day without eating, so I'll get too warm and I won't eat, and
That's not fun.
that's not healthy. I don't think
Well,
anybody wants me passing out on them because everybody in knit club's smaller than me.
yeah, if you go down, I don't think we can help you.
No one's. I mean, Red's a healthcare aide, so she could help me down, so I wouldn't injure myself too badly. But that would not be good. So like, let's stagger this. But I think we should make it a day long thing and just have a ladies' day and spend the day knitting in public spaces and enjoying each other's company if we can. It depends on work schedules and everything, obviously.
Yep.
But I think that's something we should try to look to see if we can do. In the spirit of knitting in public day, let's just literally shove our knitting in everyone's faces.
We will make a tour of coffee and donut shops around the city.
Oh, yeah, outside spaces, the whole 9 yards. Like, I think we can do a bunch of it. So, it would also be really good for the Instagram feed.
It really would.
All of the photos. All of the photos. So, I'm looking forward to that. I'm obviously just making plans off the top of my head, and we'll work out details and stuff later. So, that's my big goal. We have some conventions, which are technically not specifically knitting related, but we're going to take our knitting to anyway, because we are knitters, and we are both gamers and geeks. Nerds? What term do we prefer?
I don't really care either way.
Neither do I.
I like whichever one fits the sentence better.
There will be once I'm up and running, I'm missing the pre-release for the latest set of Magic the Gathering that's coming out, so I can't be taking my knitting to that because I won't be going to that. I can't do 9 hours of Magic right now. I can sit for 3 hours and I have to take a nap. So 9 hours of Magic is not in the realm of feasibility for me at the moment. But when it is, my knitting goes to Magic with me, so it'll go to F&M with me, it'll go to pre-releases with me, it goes to all the sort of events and stuff. So I'm going to take it to Icon. And I know you're joining me for Icon.
Yes.
That's going to be interesting because I know you fly out the last day of Icon.
Yes.
For DEF CON.
On the last day of Icon, I will be flying out to Vegas for B-Sides and DEF CON, where I will have knitting of some sort.
Which is fine, because I suspect the last day of Icon will be the only day Mr. B is free to go to Icon, so I will probably end up spending the day with him.
That works out.
And exploring that, so that's perfectly good. I expect that weekend to be filled with sugary treats, anime, and gaming, because that is how I like to run my conventions. I sleep. I am a fan of the rules for conventions, which is 6 hours of sleep, 2 meals, and 1 shower every day. It's the 6-2-1 rule.
I heard the 3-2-1 rule. 3 hours of sleep.
No.
2 meals and 1 shower.
I am in the middle of my 30s. 6 hours with a cup of coffee, and I can do it. Less than 6 hours, I am a grumpy, grumpy beast. Nobody wants to deal with me. If I can, and I usually get 8 hours, because I'm fine not getting there at the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. So we're gonna do Icon, and then we've got the Winnipeg Fiber Festival in September.
I looked up the dates for that. We've actually been saying it wrong.
I have no doubt that I have the wrong dates in my brain. I have not written it down yet.
It seems to be the 15th and 16th this year, not the 25th and 26th, as we have been saying.
Even better, because that's earlier in the month. I might actually remember that. So again, trying to make plans with the knit club. I've been warning my sibling, who is kind enough. She drives me a lot of places because she can still see. And I was like, so we're going to take your tiny little car. We're going to go to a fiber festival. My sister's like, oh man, like, I don't know how we're getting everything home from the Fiber Festival. We're going. She's like, no, that's totally fair. We'll go. I think we'll take the midget with us. She will be a midget until she's taller than me, and that's how that works. That's how that works. So we'll take her with us, and we will go look at fiber and stuff, because she likes to touch and feel things, even though she's not really big into knitting. That's fine. It's little bits at a time. I'll get her hooked. I got her mom hooked. I can do it.
Well, she's
Takes
done the
time.
crochet already, so.
She did crochet with the Girl Guides, which was super cool. I didn't know they did that. So we are currently growing plants on my window well.
Mm.
She got some seedlings she's growing for another batch she's working on. So, and then we're doing C4 this year, which again has nothing to do with knitting. It is the Central Canadian Comic Con. It happens usually the weekend before, during, or after Halloween, depending
I
on
have
when
the
Halloween
dates
comes.
for it.
Oh, good. I don't have the dates for it.
C4 this year is happening October 27th to 29th
Perfect.
at the RBC Convention Center in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
It is a massive convention center, and it got bigger because it got expanded.
It is freaking huge. Like
And it is
2 city
wonderful.
blocks huge.
It's wonderful. I am so glad that they finished the expansion. It was so needed. So needed.
Oh yes. I could breathe last year.
I know we weren't quite so crammed in.
Like there was air to breathe.
It's wonderful. So I totally plan on taking my knitting to that because that's another 3-day convention where I think you and I will probably live there. So we can see panels and do shopping and knit and relax, and I might see if I can get in a couple rounds of Magic maybe. Maybe we'll get to the point where we can enter into the Magic tournament and we can both just not place and prize together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I know enough of the rules almost.
Yeah, we're getting there. Little bits in time, we'll get there. Not a worry. So that's another one I like to try to spend the whole weekend at, because I know a lot of people who go, but they can't always go all at the same time, and then getting together a huge group of people and working out schedules is difficult, where it's like, if I do enough work beforehand, I can just take the 3 days off.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes at least me easier to book and schedule.
Yeah.
So I try to do it that way, and I know it's the one that Mr. B enjoys the most, so that's the one he's more likely to want to spend more time at.
Mm-hmm.
Which works. Other than that, I am sure more things will pop up. That's another thread we could open up in the group thing. Suggestions for knit-alongs that we could participate in. Because, we don't have enough stuff to do. Let's add more.
Is this suggestions for knit-alongs that other people are doing that we should join, or suggestions for things that we should run a knit-along for?
Both.
Both.
I think we could run a knit-along. I can plan things.
Alright.
I think that's totally doable. I think that would be very exciting. Which, amazingly enough, just leaves the book review.
Book review.
Oh,
wait, we didn't do Fiber Flub yet.
Oh, we didn't do Fiber Flub. Man, I think I'm soloing that one.
I have a very tiny little bit of flubbing.
You have a tiny Fiber Flub, which is our new When Knitting Goes Sideways section. My, strangely enough, was not the Boneyard shawl.
Oh my goodness. You mean you didn't restart it for the 30 trillionth time?
No, actually, it behaved itself quite well, and the rows went in wonderful. It was the Renya shawl, which I've put a lifeline in, because I did the first 28 rows. Yeah, 28 rows. And then it calls for a lace section. Well, that's fine. They call it a mesh section. That's not a problem. So I finished my garter section. I'm working on a mesh section. And I somehow miscounted and ended up with 4 extra stitches when I was done the mesh section.
Aww.
So I super miscounted. I went, oh dear. And because I didn't have a lifeline in before the mesh section, and I can't see the stitches to pick them up, I ripped the whole thing up and then started again from scratch. So now that I've done the garter section, which, man, do I have that pattern memorized now, no problem. It's, again, a nice, wonderfully simple pattern. I put a lifeline in, so if I magically end up with more stitches than I'm supposed to at the end of the mesh section, I'm not starting from scratch all over again.
Sounds like a solid plan.
I think it's a solid plan. The Distinction shawl, I only had to start 4 times now.
Well, that's nowhere near the record.
It's nowhere near the record, so that's fine. I am what do we call me, a progress knitter? I don't mind restarting. It's all about learning and stuff, so, which is good. I could have gone into a lot more trouble than I have this week, so I am quite happy.
My flubbing fibers were related to the finger weaving that I was working on for the book review. But turns out trying to do it A, outside with a lot of woodland creatures swooping by your head, and B, trying to do it when a 4-year-old really wants to help you, but only for about 45 seconds at a time.
Oh, we're gonna make T into a knitter, are we? Fiber enthusiast?
I'm trying. He wanted to help.
I think that'd be amazing.
He wanted to help, so he was holding on to the top end of my stuff. But 30 seconds in, he got bored and wanted to leave, and so the row was kind of lost. So that's fine. It's really easy to go back and fix, but there was a lot of that, because then 2 minutes later he'd be back and wanting to help. I'm like, okay,
Well,
you have to hold really still and you have to hang on to it till I finish the row. And of course he wouldn't. And
Nope. well, he's 4. We're not 5 yet, so it's.
I know.
There's
I mean,
only
I
so
didn't
much
really
concentration
expect.
we can do here.
Yeah, I didn't really expect it to work out terribly well, but
That's all right. He's interested. That's the point.
yes.
That's awesome. So yeah, no, that's not too bad of a fiber flub. That's more of a cute kid story than a fiber flub.
I think there were some adorable pictures taken.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Shall we do our book review?
Let's do a book review.
So we're going to be like an hour and a half by the time we're done. Down.
Yeah. I'm really glad you do the editing.
Hey, thanks, man. We went with a local Winnipeg book this time around. No, least anybody worry. We are not wandering away from knitting. We are enthusiastic for learning stuff, so every once in a while we will be reviewing books that are not strictly knitting. So if strictly knitting is your thing, this might not be the review for you. However, if you're always interested in just learning new stuff because it's fiber related, join us as we look at Sprang Unsprung, which is an illustrated guide to interlinking, interlacing, and interweaving.
Intertwining.
Intertwining? Wow, I can read.
Close
By
enough.
Carol James.
This is a super local book, as we figured out by looking at the publication page. Turns out my last job was at the company that designed and published the book. And our partner's mother has met the author.
Which I think is really cool.
Super local book.
That's fine. It happens. It's going to happen on and off. You get small micro-publishing stuff that happens all the time. There'll be books we can't get a hold of because they're published as a micro-publish way too far away from us to order.
That's true.
Yeah, so. I had found the book at the local library. This should not shock anybody, for I am a library person.
Mm-hmm. There are conveniently about half a dozen copies at the library, so even though we have 2 of them, there are still 2 or 3 more.
Yep, so that's totally cool. And that was just at one branch, so I don't know if there'd be more at the other branches or not.
Quite possibly.
So I left it on the pile to pick. So Diana picked this one, so why don't you start the review?
Alright. Well, Sprang seems to be... I was slightly unclear about the description of what exactly Sprang is. But it seems to be a Native American finger weaving technique for making such things as Métis sashes.
Mm-hmm.
And the fancy shawl on the front cover of the book that has... Do you know what the creature symbol is that the shawl is?
Not off the top of my head.
Some kind of 2-headed bird epic thing.
All of the folklore I have in my head is Inuit in nature, not Native American in nature, so sometimes for me it is mashed up and backwards, and I'm not always quite getting the reference points, but that's because I grew up with different stories, so.
Well, I know no stories whatsoever, so... Oh, I neglected to mention that the book sells for $24.95 Canadian. No idea if it even sells in the US, but Amazon.ca says it sells for $24.95.
Possible? I don't know. I don't know. What did you like about the book?
It had very good diagrams and pretty good instructions.
I thought the instructions were written quite clearly. I haven't had a chance to make anything. I liked how they had the pictures staggered. So you get a little snippet of instruction, and then they would show you a picture of what it should look like as you're going along. Like, I thought that was really wonderful.
That design element was very good.
It just made it a nice flow, so it looked a lot easier. So you weren't reading this block of text and then looking at pictures and trying to match the block of text up with the pictures.
Yes.
I like how they broke into sections. So starting, setting up, useful tools. I really liked the picture and block information to sort of shrink the amount of stuff you were trying to learn all at once.
They have a left-handed and right-handed instructions.
Which was super once I realized it was left and right-handed. My brain went, woohoo! I don't have to try to figure it out on my own. Oh, being left-handed. Which is fine. I liked how they had sample patterns and that they would do some of their, a lot of their diagrams were done in the black and white strings represented for the yarn and stuff, so you could really easily see what was going on. But they have some of their stuff done with actual yarn itself, so you could see what it would look like on the actual stuff you'd be working on, which I really thought was just very nifty. Clear colors, patterns were all set up really nicely. None of the patterns jumped out, and I said to myself, man, I need to make that one particular item. But I liked a lot of the techniques that they showed you, and a lot of the sort of big, not, like, I don't want to make a little basket or a short scarf or anything like that, but I do like they showed you how to do chevrons and diamond shapes, and that stuff really caught my attention because I was like, that would be cool.
Yeah, so it'd be really easy to take those elements and make your own thing.
Yeah.
I saw the bag and immediately went, dice bag?
That's totally fair. I have 50 billion dice bags, so my brain doesn't immediately jump to dice bag anymore. I love that they showed you how to put together a homemade loom to try it out.
Like backs of chairs and things.
Yeah, so if you wanted to give it a sample but not sink a bunch of money into the investment so you could do a couple of things and see if you really liked it first. I really enjoyed that they did that. It made it quite approachable for people. It makes it quite approachable for me. I have a loom, so that's fine. It's a gift. But I liked the idea that if you didn't, you could sort of put something together and see if you enjoyed it or not before you would put a bunch of money into it, other than the yarn costs. And really, who doesn't just have some random yarn floating around that they'd be okay playing around with and seeing if something worked? Yeah, like adding shape. I'm literally flipping through the book here as we go. How to put pieces together, multiple pieces, single pieces. It's just a really good instructional beginning book. This is what a beginning book should be. It's here we go, one step at a time. Here's how you do stuff. Here's some projects if you wanted to try it out.
I also like how there's kind of historical museum pictures sprinkled throughout, so you kind of get a gist of, if you're really good at this, you can make something that looks amazing like this.
You get into it and you can say, like, this is what you could do.
This technique is also, if you're doing the free end non-loom version, where you only need one anchor point, they suggest just taping it to a table or tying it to a chair. But if you have children in your life that really want to help out, you can have them hang on to it. Although probably slightly older than 4 years old, so they have an attention span longer than 3/4 of a row.
You know, that might help you out a bit. Yeah, no, I love the textiles section where they showed you how to do different patterns and weaves and stuff like that. Really,
I really like that.
That's when I went, yes. I'm glad I got this book to look at, and I'm going to try a couple of the pattern weaves out of it because I'd like to see how difficult they actually are in person. And I do love the shawl that's on the front, so.
That shawl looks absolutely epic.
It is definitely beyond my skill set at the moment, but that's okay. Yeah. I will start learning, and I will be there before I know it. But yeah, no, it's, as far as a fiber-related craft hobby book, it's quite wonderful. I hadn't looked at interweaving before, or interlacing, or any of it before. It was kind of nebulous out there, like spinning before I started looking at it, and crochet before I started doing it. It was all sort of stuff like, yeah, it's in the fiber family. Weaving's the same sort of way, but now I'm actually looking at it going, you know what, this is not nearly as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Cool. I think I could do this. Which, you know, again, because I need more projects. Jocelyn needs more things. Man.
So what is your overall opinion of the book?
If you like learning and you like getting into new crafts or hobbies, or being able to link them across the board, so you're into yarn but you want to be able to sort of spread it out and have several different types of yarn hobbies, so it isn't just if you pick something up or receive something and it's not quite right for knitting or not quite right for crochet, it might fit in for weaving, it might fit in for something else, or for this interlinking and interlacing. I think it's a really good idea. And quite frankly, really pretty and completely approachable with my vision loss because I'm doing it all by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could work in the lace weight yarns and stuff and still do the knots and still do the fold overs and get really beautiful patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, without having to worry too much about contrast details. So for me, yes, please, if learning is something that is up your alley, I will be making things out of this book shortly.
I like it. It is definitely worth taking a look at, I think. And hooray for local books.
Hooray for local books! Which totally happens. Ah, it was a really short book review.
Well, that's good, because everything else was really long.
Oh, and foodstuffs are required. So, Diana, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us?
You can find us on Ravelry, Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook as Northern Knits Podcast. You can also follow our blog at northernknitspodcast.com for our show notes.
We said Ravelry?
Yes.
My brain is just absolute. We'll drop some threads into the Ravelry feed this week. I promise we will get better at checking all of our social media stuff. We're going to set up a schedule for that. It's one of those things I meant to do and didn't happen before the surgery, and it hasn't occurred to me since. However, until next week, I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
Saying no matter where your week takes you,
Don't forget to knit.
Ta-da! My goodness, my posterior is numb. Foodstuffs.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's 2:42. No wonder I'm hungry. I had a breakfast bar at 9 this morning.
I had oatmeal at about 10.
Foodstuffs.
Yeah.
Mom ate lunch without us. Is there ham upstairs, Mom? Is that why? It's because you got up at noon.